Welcome to the ACE Project, brought to you by the Literacy.io team at Texas A&M University. I'm your host, Ashley Stack, also known as Captain Comprehension. We are so excited you'll be joining us on this reading journey and hope you and your child enjoy this time together. So get comfy, rev up your brains, and get ready to think, because we are ready to help you become a comprehension detective.
Welcome back, Super Readers. My name is Captain Comprehension, and I am here to guide you as you become a comprehension detective. Welcome to week 15 of our podcast. This week, we're reading Martin's Big Words. Today, we're going to read about the incredible impact one man had on our society. Let's be comprehension detectives and figure out how he helped cause changes to civil rights. Before we begin reading, let's go over some important vocabulary that will help us better understand the passage. Our first word is march. March means to move together in protest. A synonym might be protest or demonstrate, and there aren't really any antonyms or opposites for this word. Our next term is convinced. Convinced means you made someone believe something or persuaded them. A synonym or word that means the same could be persuaded or converted, and an antonym or opposite might be dissuaded or deterred. Our next word is protest. Protest means to show you are against something. A synonym or word that means the same might be challenge or object, and an antonym or opposite would be approve or sanction. We're also going to hear the word segregation. Segregation is the act of separating things. Some synonyms or words that mean the same are separateness and isolation, and some antonyms or opposites are togetherness and companionship. Then we have the word strike. Strike is a refusal to work until a company gives in to a request or demand. A synonym or word that means the same might be walkout or coup, and there aren't really any antonyms for this word. Okay, comprehension detectives, pause your videos and text POD 15, that's POD 15, to 866-903-2545. This will start this week's questions. When you're ready, press play. Which word or words from the passage help the reader understand the meaning of the word segregation? A. Separate. B. Peace. C. War. D. Walked with them. Which word means the same as convinced? A. Deterred. B. Separated. C. Persuaded. D. Demanded. It's time for us to read the story. Everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw the signs, white only. His mother said these signs were in all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words, he felt bad, until he remembered what his mother told him. You are as good as anyone. In church, Martin sang hymns. He read from the Bible. He listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too. Martin grew up. He became a minister like his father. He used the big words he had heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. He said together when others said separate. He said peace when others said war. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit. She said no and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest. It made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. For 381 days they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there lived Black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. In the next 10 years, Black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them, and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told them to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop. But they kept on marching. Wait! For 10 years I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some Black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists. Martin convinced them not to, by reminding them of the power of love. Love is the key to the problems of the world. Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed. His brother's house was bombed. But he refused to stop. Remember, if I am stopped, this movement will not be stopped, because God is with this movement. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little Black boys and Black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protests, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South came down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. Martin went wherever people needed help. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. On the second day there, he was shot. He died. His big words are alive for us today. What is the text structure of Martin's big words? Was there a problem? Was it solved? Did Martin Luther King Jr. cause something to happen? Use your text structure bookmark to see if you can figure it out. Pause your video and go back to the texting survey when you've got it. What is the text structure of the passage? A. Comparison. B. Cause and effect. C. Problem and solution. D. Cause, problem, and solution. Welcome back, detectives. I identified the text structure as cause and effect, so we're going to use the cause and effect sentence stems to help us write a main idea. The sentence stems are, the cause was, the effect was. Pause your video and go back to the texting survey to send in your main idea sentence using these sentence stems. When you're ready, push play and I'll share mine with you. Hey there, detectives. Here's what I wrote for my main idea. The causes were Martin preached a message of love and peaceful protest for the rights of all people. The effect was he helped to end segregation. You could also simplify it by saying, the cause was Martin used his big words to teach love, and the effect was he helped to end segregation. Okay there, detectives. It's time for us to answer a multiple choice main idea question. Are you ready? Remember to use your main idea statement that you wrote to help you answer this question. What is the best main idea for the selection? A. Martin Luther King Jr. became a preacher like his father and used big words to help people learn to love. B. Martin Luther King Jr. walked, talked, sang, and prayed with protesters. C. Martin Luther King Jr. taught love and peaceful protest were the way to help end segregation. D. Martin Luther King Jr. did not like the whites-only signs. One day, lawmakers voted to end segregation and the signs came down. Which one of these contains the cause and the effect that we wrote? Pause your videos and go back to the texting survey to answer the question. You're doing great work, detectives. Now let's extend our main idea to write a summary of this passage. First, let's think back to the main idea. I wrote the causes where Martin preached a message of love and peaceful protest for the rights of all people. The effect was he helped to end segregation. Now I want to go back and look for a detail that supports my cause and a detail that will support my effect. Talk it over with your adult partner and see what you can come up with. When you're ready, press play and I'll show you what I wrote. Here's my summary. The causes where Martin preached a message of love and peaceful protest for the rights of all people. He walked, talked, sang, and prayed with people who were protesting. The effect was he helped to end segregation. Whites-only signs were taken down and Martin won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. How did you do? I bet you're doing great work. It's time for us to answer a multiple choice summary question. Remember to think about the main idea and the summary that we just wrote in order to help you answer this question. Here we go. What is the best summary of the selection? A. Martin Luther King Jr. marched peacefully to protest the end of segregation. He spoke about using love to overcome hatred and shared his dream of equality. His actions helped to end segregation in the South, winning him the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. B. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted to have big words like those he heard from his parents and read in the Bible. He became a preacher and told people to use love to overcome hatred, just like the people of India used peace to gain their freedom. C. Segregation made young Martin Luther King Jr. feel bad about himself. He did not like the whites-only signs he saw in the South, but his mother made him feel better when she told him, "You are as good as anyone." D. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot in Memphis, Tennessee in 1968 when he went to walk, talk, sing, and pray with garbage collectors who were on strike. He died, but his big words live on for us today. Pause your video and text your answer in now. We're almost there, detectives, and you're doing such great work. It's time for us to infer. Remember, when we infer, we take clues we read in the text and we mix it in with what we already know to draw a conclusion or make an inference. What does the author mean by his big words are alive for us today? The reader can conclude that Martin became a preacher because... Pause and think about these questions for a minute. Discuss them with your adult partner. What does the author mean by his big words are alive for us today? A. His words are still living. B. We can still read his words. C. Words cannot be alive. This was a typing error. D. His words still apply to us today. Pause your video and text in your answer now. The reader can conclude that Martin became a preacher because A. He liked giving speeches. B. He looked up to his father. C. People came to his church. D. He wasn't allowed to do anything else. Pause your video and send in your last answer. Thank you so much for joining us this week, Comprehension Detectives. I hope you learned something from Martin's big words. I look forward to joining you again next week. Remember, we can all be super readers. This is Captain Comprehension, signing off.